The Prosthodontics Department at the University of Texas Dental Branch at Houston would like to share an educational video entitled Preparation Sequence of a 3-Unit Fixed Partial Denture. We hope that this will be an aid to other faculty as they mentor their students in fixed prosthodontics. This video illustrates a straightforward tooth preparation sequence for a 3-unit fixed partial denture, where reduction accuracy and preparation draw is emphasized through the use of reduction guides and paralleling grooves. These are the objectives of this video presentation: to demonstrate the use of specific burrs to prepare 2 posterior abutments for a metal ceramic and gold fixed partial denture. Additionally, this video will provide tips for achieving the proper amount of reduction for the anticipated restorative materials to be used. Finally, we will address the challenge of making the 2 preparations parallel to each other. Students will have unlimited access to this material. Certain changes have been made to ideal hand positioning during this presentation in order to facilitate the filming of the procedures. Tape has been placed over the fiber optic light to improve the quality of the video recording. We hope that you will find this presentation useful in your study of fixed prosthodontics. First, let's address the burr block. The crown preparation burr block contains diamond and carbide burrs that are specific for particular steps in abutment preparation. The polyvinyl siloxane reduction matrix has already been fabricated. We start the preparation by breaking the interproximal contact on the mesial surface of the anterior abutment using a 169, 1170, or 700 carbide burr. These burrs are thin and are used with a sawing motion in the occlusal surface first. This approach from the occlusal leaves a small lip next to the adjacent tooth. This is a benefit because the lip prevents us from nicking the adjacent tooth. In order to complete this step, we will use a lateral approach. Next, we continue to break the contact by approaching the proximal surface from the facial or lingual aspect of the tooth. The contact has now been broken. Next, we ensure parallelism with the mesial wall of the posterior abutment. Eventually, all 4 proximal walls will have a common path of draw. Then we follow the same process to break the contact on the distal surface of the posterior abutment. We finish breaking the distal contact by using a buckle approach similar to the method used for the anterior abutment. After the contact has been broken, the distal wall of the posterior abutment is made parallel with the distal wall of the anterior abutment, as well as the previously prepared mesial walls of both abutments. In order to establish a common path of draw between the abutments, an orientation line or groove is placed on the buccal surface of each abutment. After the first groove, the wrist is locked and the handpiece moved to the second abutment to ensure that both grooves are parallel. This groove provides a guide to establish parallelism of all mesial and distal surfaces. Although this line can be placed even before breaking the proximal contacts, it should be accomplished prior to finalizing the axial wall reduction. The occlusal view shows the abutments with open interproximal contacts and parallel buccal orientation grooves. Now we are ready to begin the occlusal reduction. The beauty of breaking the contacts first is that the full occlusal reduction can be accomplished without endangering the occlusal surfaces of the adjacent teeth. The 6856-016 round-ended diamond burr is used to prepare the depth grooves. If the occlusal surface of the planned restoration is metal, 1 millimeter of occlusal reduction is required for the shearing cusps and 1.5 millimeters for the stamp cusps. If the occlusal surface is metal ceramic, a total of 2 millimeters of reduction is required. After the grooves have been placed, additional reduction connects the grooves. In order to maintain the occlusal anatomy in the preparation, the burr follows the existing topography of the occlusal surface. The proper amount of reduction is confirmed as the putty matrix is placed over the preparation and the perioprobe is used to ensure the appropriate amount of reduction based on the restorative material to be used for the restoration. You can see that the functional bevel still needs to be accomplished. The reduction grooves are placed on the buccal surfaces, depending upon the restorative material to be used. Just as we did with the occlusal surfaces, we connect the depth grooves on the facial and lingual walls to complete the axial reduction. From a mesial view, the buccal and lingual walls are parallel to a common path of draw. Note that the functional bevel on the lingual converges about 45 degrees towards the buccal. The finish line is determined by the restorative material. For a metal margin, a chamfer or bevel shoulder is used. The finish line for the buccal of the premolar is a shoulder because this portion of the preparation will receive a porcelain margin. The matrix shows a very nice result for the metal retainer. The reduction measurements are 0.7 to 1 millimeter axially, 1 millimeter occlusally for the shearing cusps, and 1.5 millimeters for the functional cusps. The premolar matrix shows 1.5 millimeter facial reduction for the buccal wall. The shoulder is 1.2 to 1.5 millimeters thick. The occlusal reduction is 2 millimeters since there will be both metal and porcelain covering this surface. We can polish the shoulder with a brownie point on a slow-speed handpiece with the objective of providing an extremely smooth surface for the laboratory technician to apply porcelain on the master die. Even if the point is brand new, it will become dull very quickly and provide the correct form for polishing the flat shoulder. Slow speed is used to prevent overheating the tooth during this procedure. The parallelism of the mesial and distal walls is verified with a buccal view. The amount of convergence will provide a very retentive restoration. From an occlusal view, the walls draw. The finish line is visible in both preps simultaneously. This view ensures that the buccal and lingual walls have a common path of draw. An alginate impression poured in mounting stone would also provide evidence of draw.